All right, listen up. This is a story you won't forget. My name's Josh, and I'm 19. I'm part of this ragtag group of demon hunters. Yeah, you heard me right. Demon hunters. We call ourselves the Shadow Chasers. Cool, right? Except it's not as glamorous as it sounds, and it gets a whole lot scarier than you'd ever imagine. So, it's a Friday night, and we're all hanging out at Mike's place. Mike's the leader of our little group, a couple of years older, thinks he knows everything. There's me, Mike, Sarah, and Ben. We've got all our gear. Holy water, crosses, salt, the usual stuff. Mike's got this tip-off about an old abandoned house on the edge of town. Supposedly, it's haunted by a demon that's been terrorizing the area for decades. We pile into Mike's beat-up van and drive out there. The house is exactly what you'd expect. Dark, creepy, with broken windows and overgrown weeds. As soon as we step out, I feel this chill run down my spine. The air is thick, like you could cut it with a knife. We go inside, and it's pitch black. The only light we've got are our flashlights, casting these weird, spooky shadows everywhere. Mike's leading the way, acting all brave, but I can see his hands shaking a bit. We spread out, checking the rooms one by one. Everything's covered in dust, and the air smells like mold and decay. Suddenly, Sarah screams. We all rush over to find her staring at this old, cracked mirror. She swears she saw something moving behind her reflection. We all laugh it off, trying to ease the tension, but I can see the fear in her eyes. And honestly, I'm starting to feel it too. We make our way to the basement. Of course, it had to be the basement. Mike's got this theory that demons like dark, damp places. As soon as we open the door, we're hit with this putrid smell, like rotting flesh. We head down, our flashlights flickering like in those horror movies. At the bottom, we find this old altar covered in weird symbols and dried blood. It's the kind of thing that would give anyone nightmares. Mike starts reading from this ancient book he's got, chanting in Latin. That's when things go sideways. Temperature drops even more, and we hear this low, guttural growl. Our flashlights go out, plunging us into total darkness. I can hear Sarah and Ben breathing heavily, and Mike's chanting gets more frantic. Then, out of nowhere, this figure appears in the darkness, its eyes glowing red. We're all frozen with fear. The thing steps closer, and I can feel this oppressive force pressing down on me. Mike throws holy water at it, but it just laughs, this horrible, echoing laugh that chills me to the bone. The figure speaks, its voice deep and menacing. "You think you can banish me? Pathetic." Before we can react, it lunges at Mike, knocking him to the ground. Sarah's screaming, Ben's trying to get his cross out, and I'm just standing there paralyzed. The demon's eyes lock onto mine, and I feel this intense, burning pain in my chest. I fall to my knees, gasping for air. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it stops. The demon disappears, and the lights come back on. Mike's lying on the floor, unconscious, but alive. Sarah and Ben help him up, and we get the hell out of there as fast as we can. We're back in the van, driving away, and no one's saying a word. The silence is heavy, each of us lost in our own thoughts. When we finally get back to Mike's place, he wakes up, groggy and confused. He looks at us, eyes wide with fear. "It wasn't just any demon," he says. "It was a hunter, and now it's hunting us." So yeah, demon hunting sounds cool until you realize the demons might be hunting you back. We're not giving up though. We'll be ready next time. At least I hope so.
All right, listen up. My name's Sam, and I'm 17. I've got a story that'll make your skin crawl. This happened last Halloween, and it's something I'll never forget. So, me and my buddies, Jake and Tyler, were looking for some serious thrills. You know, typical teenage stuff. We heard about this old abandoned asylum just outside of town. Perfect, right? We grabbed our flashlights and hopped into Jake's truck. The drive there was eerie enough. The place is tucked away in the woods, barely any road to get there. As we got closer, the air seemed to get colder and this thick fog rolled in, making everything look ghostly. We parked a little way off and made our way to the entrance. The asylum loomed over us, dark and menacing. The gates were rusty and the place was falling apart. I swear, the moment we stepped inside, it felt like we'd crossed into another world. The air was heavy, and every sound echoed like a whisper from the past. Jake was all bravado, leading the way. We crept through the halls, our flashlights cutting through the darkness. The place was trashed. Broken furniture, shattered windows, graffiti all over the walls. It was creepy as hell. We kept moving deeper into the asylum until we found this old staircase leading down. You know what that means? The basement. Jake, being the fearless idiot he is, insisted we check it out. We descended into the basement and the air got colder. It was like stepping into a freezer. Our breaths fogged up in front of us, and we could hear this faint dripping sound. The walls were lined with old rusty pipes, and the floor was slick with something I didn't want to think about. At the end of the corridor, we found this heavy metal door. It looked like it hadn't been opened in decades. Tyler, always the curious one, gave it a shove, and it creaked open, the sound echoing down the hall. Inside was this small room, empty except for a single chair in the center. On the floor, there was this weird symbol, drawn in what looked like dried blood. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind us. We spun around, but there was no one there. Panic set in. Jake tried the door, but it wouldn't budge. Tyler was freaking out, and honestly, I was too. We were trapped. Then, out of nowhere, this low, guttural voice filled the room. "Why have you come here?" it said. We couldn't see anyone, but the voice was clear as day. We were all looking around, trying to find the source, but there was nothing. Just shadows. Jake, trying to keep it together, yelled, "We're just messing around. We didn't mean any harm." The voice laughed, this deep, chilling laugh that echoed off the walls. "You've awakened me," it said. "And now, you must choose." Before we could ask what it meant, the shadows in the room started to move. They formed into this dark figure, looming over us. It pointed at the symbol on the floor. "One of you must stay, or you all will perish." We were paralyzed with fear. The figure waited, silent and menacing. Jake, being the brave idiot, said, "I'll stay. Let them go." The figure nodded, and the door creaked open. Tyler and I bolted out of there, not daring to look back. As we reached the top of the stairs, I glanced back. Jake was standing in the middle of the room, the figure closing in on him. The door slammed shut, and then silence. We got out of the asylum as fast as we could, hearts pounding, adrenaline pumping. We never saw Jake again. The cops searched the place, but they found nothing. No sign of Jake, no weird symbol, nothing. It was like he just vanished. People said we were making it up, but Tyler and I know the truth. We made a choice that night. One we'll regret forever. Sometimes you have to choose the lesser evil, but even the lesser evil can haunt you for the rest of your life. So if you ever find yourself in an abandoned asylum or anywhere that feels wrong, do yourself a favor. Turn around and never look back.
Hey, I'm Luke. I'm a sophomore at Oak Ridge University, and I've got a story that's straight out of a nightmare. It all started last fall, during midterms. Everyone was stressed out, cramming for exams, and the campus was buzzing with anxiety. Little did we know, things were about to get way worse. So, it's a Thursday night, and I'm in the library with my friends Jess and Mark. We're buried in textbooks, trying to make sense of all this stuff we should have been studying for weeks. The library's open 24/7 during midterms, and it's packed. But around midnight, it starts to empty out. People need sleep, I guess. Jess decides to take a break and goes to get us some coffee. She's gone for a while, and Mark and I start to worry. I text her. No reply. We decide to go look for her. The library's huge and kind of creepy when it's empty. We check the usual spots, vending machines, study rooms, nothing. We head to the basement level, where the older archives are kept. It's dark and musty down there, and honestly, I've always found it a bit spooky. We hear this weird noise, like whispering. Mark jokes about it being haunted, but I'm not laughing. We follow the sound and find Jess standing in front of this old locked door. She's just staring at it, not moving. "Jess, you good?" I ask. She turns to us slowly, her eyes wide with fear. "I heard someone calling my name," she whispers. "From behind that door." We look at each other, not sure what to do. Mark, being the curious idiot he is, tries the door handle. It's locked, but he's not giving up. He pulls out a paperclip from his backpack and starts fiddling with the lock. After a minute, it clicks open. Inside, it's pitch black. We shine our phone's flashlights inside and see rows of old books and dusty shelves. The air is thick, like it hasn't been disturbed in years. We step inside, and the door slams shut behind us. Panic sets in real quick. We try the door, but it's stuck. Jess is freaking out, and I'm not far behind. Then we hear it again, the whispering. It's getting louder, coming from deeper in the room. We follow the sound, even though every part of me is screaming to get out of there. We find this old desk with a single book open on it. The pages are blank, except for one word scrawled in the middle: "Run." The whispering stops, replaced by a low, growling noise. We spin around, and there's this figure standing in the shadows, tall and menacing. Its eyes are glowing a sickly yellow. Mark tries to be the hero and steps forward, but the thing lunges at him. He screams, and we all scatter. Jess grabs my arm, and we run to the back of the room, finding another door. We burst through it and end up in a narrow, winding staircase. We can hear Mark's screams echoing behind us, but we don't stop. We keep running until we burst out into the fresh air, finding ourselves outside behind the library. We look around, disoriented and scared out of our minds. Jess is crying, and I'm shaking. We realize Mark didn't make it out. We run to campus security, but when we go back with them, there's no sign of Mark. The door to the basement room is locked again, and they think we're just a bunch of stressed-out kids with overactive imaginations. But I know what I saw. We all did. And the whispers haven't stopped. Sometimes late at night, I can still hear them calling my name. Mark was never found. They said he probably just ran off, couldn't handle the pressure of midterms. But Jess and I know the truth. So, if you're ever studying late at the library and you hear someone whispering your name, do yourself a favor. Don't follow the sound. Some doors are better left unopened.
Gotta find my way to you.